Last-minute change in Alcaraz's debut at the Australian Open. Carlos Alcaraz will not play his first-round match against Kazakh Alexander Shevchenko on the Central Court, Rod Laver Arena, after the Australian Open organizers prioritized the Italian Jannik Sinner and the Serbian Novak Djokovic, who will also debut on Monday. The Monday schedule was revealed on Saturday afternoon and resolved one of the hottest debates of the day regarding the allocation of the main courts, considering that all three favorites would start their campaigns on the same day. The Oceanic tournament took into account the status of the Italian as the defending champion and the Serbian's 10 titles by the Yara River, relegating the Spaniard to the Margaret Court Arena, located just steps away from Rod Laver Arena. The venue hosting the Spaniards' debut has a capacity of 7,500 spectators, while Rod Laver Arena can hold up to 14,820 fans. This will be the first time the 21-year-old plays on the Margaret Court Arena. During his first appearance in 2021, he only played on the outer courts. In 2022, he combined outer courts with his debut on Rod Laver Arena against Italian Matteo Berrettini, and last year, he played exclusively on the Central Court. Margaret Court Arena is the third largest stadium at Melbourne Park but is considered the second most significant venue behind the legendary Rod Laver Arena. Carlos Alcaraz raises the alarm in Australia. 24 hours before his debut at the first Grand Slam of the season, the Spaniard has opened up, making it clear what he is not willing to do this year. Australia is eager to see the new Carlos Alcaraz, with his fresh haircut. The Spaniard starts a new season with recharged energy and a clear mindset. His first challenge is already on the table and will begin within 24 hours. Securing this first Grand Slam of the season, for which he has trained and prepared since December, won't be easy with Sinner and Djokovic in the mix. But he will fight for this first crown and others while foregoing some if his body demands it. During Media Day at the 2025 Australian Open, Carlos Alcaraz set off alarms about his upcoming season, officially beginning tomorrow. To avoid repeating mistakes from previous years, the player from El Palmar has already found a solution. There's debate among players who complain about the schedule and then play exhibitions, but I've always said that's totally different. Taylor Fritz said the same. It's not the same to play a highly demanding mental and physical tournament over 9 days as to play a one-day match to entertain the crowd. I'll probably skip some exhibitions and certainly some tournaments depending on how things go, how I'm playing, if I'm feeling physically good, or if I need to rest. What I don't want is to play a tournament while mentally tired, go there, and it becomes an ordeal. I want to go to tournaments feeling good, enjoying tennis. If that's not the case, I'll make some decisions this year. He also admitted to introducing changes, both to his weapons and his qualities. In the end, some things had to change. Well, more like be tested. I was playing with a relatively light racket for the professional circuit, so we decided to add 5 grams. When we tested it, I felt quite good. The most important thing for me is to be able to swing the racket as well as the previous one, avoid arm problems, and prevent shoulder or arm issues. Regarding technical aspects, Alcaraz highlighted improvements. We knew the serve was something we had to improve, something had to be done. This new motion is a bit more relaxed, much more relaxed with the wrist. We aim for better rhythm without a pause at the top of the motion, making it all smoother. I think this will help me because playing more relaxed avoids other issues during matches, like tension or physical strain. Unprecedented day at the Australian Open. Alcaraz ousted from the Central Court by Djokovic and Sinner. The Australian Open planned a Super Monday with a spectacular match schedule, albeit unusual due to overlaps directly affecting Carlos Alcaraz's debut in his 4th appearance at the season's first Grand Slam. According to the draw, Carlos Alcaraz and Novak Djokovic will share a match day as they are in the same draw section and may face each other in the quarterfinals if they clear previous obstacles. This is not the case for Jannik Sinner, whose first match was brought forward to Monday, even though it could have been scheduled for Tuesday. Not only do they share the same match day, but Djokovic and Alcaraz will also play simultaneously. It's akin to Barcelona and Real Madrid playing their respective matches at the same time, quite unusual and inconvenient for fans and broadcasters. At 7 p.m. local time, 9 a.m. set, Djokovic will debut against 19-year-old American hope Nishesh Basavaretti. The Serbian, a 10-time event winner with 24 Grand Slam titles, will take center stage on Rod Laver Arena. Carlos Alcaraz, excluded from Rod Laver Arena, will play simultaneously on Margaret Court Arena against Kazakh Alexander Shevchenko. By then, defending champion and world number 1 Jannik Sinner will have already begun his campaign at 4 a.m., 2 p.m. in Melbourne, against Chilean Nicolas Jarry on the Central Court, just like Djokovic, not Alcaraz. As another coincidence, while Carlos Alcaraz and Novak Djokovic play, Nick Kyrgios will be competing on his favorite venue, John Cain Arena, the third largest court at the complex, also with a retractable roof. The event is broadcast on Eurosport channels. Max streams all tournament matches. You can also follow it through updates and live coverage on the Mundo Deportivo website. Carlos Alcaraz finds his greatest ally. A tennis legend stands up for the Spaniard, defending him from criticism and calling him one of the greatest players of today. The Australian Open is around the corner, and Carlos Alcaraz is one of the main candidates to win the title. The Spaniard will debut this season competing for his first Grand Slam of the year, the only one he's missing to complete the set of major titles and snatch a record from Rafa Nadal. For this reason, a prominent name in tennis analyzes the moment Alcaraz is experiencing and becomes his great ally by defending him. This figure is Alex Corretja, former tennis player and Eurosport commentator, who reveals in an interview with Marca how he views the tennis world and places Alcaraz as a great figure, even ahead of Sinner. A serious threat for Carlos Alcaraz and Sinner. The Italian and Spanish players will have to keep an eye on Zverev in the fight for the Australian Open, as the German leaves a very good impression in his debut in Melbourne. The Australian Open has officially begun, one of the most anticipated events in the tennis zone. Not only because it puts the first Grand Slam of the season at stake, but also because it is the first major competition after several months without tennis since the last season ended at the ATP Finals. In this big tournament, Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz are among the favorites to win the trophy, with Novak Djokovic closely behind them. However, Alexander Zverev often flies under the radar when it comes to being labeled a tournament contender, and the German wants to change this. Last season, he performed notably well to climb the ATP rankings, establishing himself as the second best player and surpassing Alcaraz without drawing much attention. Now, he aims to replicate this feat at the Australian Open to secure his first Grand Slam and become a serious threat to the Italian and Spanish players. Zverev makes a statement in his Australian Open debut. For now, although this tournament is very long, he has left a good impression in his debut in Melbourne. Zverev's match was one of the most anticipated on this Sunday's schedule, as Alcaraz, Sinner, and Djokovic are set to debut on Monday. The German has impressed in his first match, defeating Lucas Pouille. The world number 2 sealed the victory decisively with a score of 6-4, 6-4, 6-4, in a match where he scored some excellent points and showcased great tennis to beat the Frenchman. His next opponent will be Pedro Martinez, whom he will face on Wednesday in the second round of the tournament. Zverev sends a clear message to Alcaraz and Sinner. By doing so, he sends a message to Sinner and Alcaraz to consider him in the battle for the year's first major title. This tournament is very special for him, as he wants to take advantage of the great form he is in to lift the first Grand Slam of his career. His main rivals will begin their journey in this competition on Monday. The Italian will face Nicolas Jarry, while the world number 3 will compete against Alexander Shevchenko in matches they are expected to win with relative ease. But as the rounds progress, if these players keep advancing, they will face each other on the court. Alcaraz and Zverev could meet in the semi-final, and the winner of this hypothetical duel would face Sinner in the final, provided the players win their respective matches. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, because here, at Tennis Zone, we are dedicated to offering the best content for the best audience. We provide in-depth analysis, exclusive interviews, and comprehensive coverage of everything related to tennis. Join our community and be part of the excitement of tournaments with us. At Tennis Zone, we strive to deliver up-to-date and high-quality content about players, tournaments, strategies, and the most relevant events in the tennis world.